悪霊退散
In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the story format of Tekken 8. We know some plot points, we know some details, but the structure is very, very important. What they're going to be doing in Tekken 8 is something that other games in the past has done. Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat is kind of famous for ushering in this new way of storytelling that all of the fighting games is kind of following. Besides Street Fighter 6, that game's story is laughable. The earliest game that I can remember doing this was Mortal Kombat vs. DC. They had a story, probably like 24 chapters. Each chapter you played as a different character, and you kind of get a taste of what they can do, and also you can see how they operate and flow through the story. That game is the first time I've ever seen it, and I love that game for it. Some games did it to perfection, but then other games had a huge disaster and it was a laughing stock. For example, you have Cassie Cage beating Shinnok, a elder god. Mortal Kombat had a lot of issues like this, and I love that Ed Boon did an interview on Hot Ones where he kind of acknowledged this. In the past, we had some characters fight for stupid reasons, and also some characters win battles that they shouldn't have won. Even though we sit here and we criticize this and that about the chapter style of storytelling, the intent behind it was good. The intention was to let you play every single character in the story so you could get a feel for them. Tekken 7 tried a new form of storytelling, which a lot of players did not like. Now, albeit the narrator played a big role in that, but some players just are fond of the scenario campaign that was offered in prior game, Tekken 6. I don't think Tekken 8 will go back to that because what we have here in this news article specifically says so, but I think what was done in Tekken 7 was really good. Even though they didn't let you play every single character, they told the story in a more believable and cohesive way. The battles in Tekken 7 was very dynamic, and I think they don't get enough credit for what they tried. Tekken 8 will take that try and turn it into a do, into a accomplishment. Here's where the news article comes in. Once again, it's a question that's being asked and the developers is answering. It says, some players pointed out that the portion between the main story of the Iron Fist 7 and the character story is unbalanced. Has this generation made the adjustment to this part? Now, what this question is talking about is the main story, the Mishima Saga, versus the character episodes. The character episodes is laughable. Half of them not canon. The other half, if they are canon, it's just completely absurd. Lucky Chloe beating Eddie, Paul Phoenix running out of the arena like a goofball. It's just madness everywhere you look. And this is the imbalance that they're talking about. How is Tekken 8 going to address this? Even before we get into the response here from the developers, we saw a portion of this. What if episodes? Now, this is not canon, and what I would compare it to is more so of what Tekken Tag Tournament 2 did. Their endings was really crazy, really wacky. They had a lot of fun with creating those endings, and in my opinion, I think Tekken Tag Tournament 2 has some of the best endings. Even though a lot of those is not canon, you can count on one hand how many of them are. Even so, the developers just had so much fun with that. Sometimes canon and sticking to canon can restrict the creative freedom that you want to tell. You want to do something wacky and really cool for the character, maybe pay homage to something that was established in Tekken 1 or this game or that game, but you don't really want to affect the lore of that character. That is what if scenarios are doing. And that's good, but it also brings up the question, so what are you going to do for the character canonically? Here's where the developer's response comes in. At present, it can be said that the story mode of Iron Fist 8 has a large amount of content. We talked about this before. In another news article, when they were told the budget that they were able to spend on the story, they were mind blown. Their eyes widened, was the quote. It continues, and I also was surprised when I saw it. Each character has its own chapter story. This one sentence is massive because this tells us 32 characters, 32 chapters. Every character will have a canonical role in the main storyline. When talking about story, this is one of the main criticisms of Tekken. All it does is focus on the Mishimas, and every other character does not exist in that. But this is no longer the case. Every character will have something to do, some goal, some narrative. We will follow them on a journey. We don't know how long it is, but definitely we will follow them. I'm very excited for this because I think it's going to do wonders for not only characters' story, but their usage data, their player usage. This is going to transform so many characters because if we once again focus on Tekken 7, there is characters like Shahid, Katarina, Gigas, Lucky Chloe, who players criticize for having no story, no determination, no personality. If something like this was added into Tekken 7, it could have completely transformed some of these characters who are otherwise flat, blank, empty, nothingness. The quote continues, "There will also be What If Story, which contains many interesting and special plots of the characters. In addition to the main story, there's also Arcade Quest, which looks at story from a player's perspective. Players should have a lot of gameplay before starting the online battle." Tekken 8 is offering so much in terms of content, but also story. If you're a fan of story and narrative and progression, you should be blown away by everything that Tekken 8 is presenting.